ladies and gentlemen. Imagine this: you walk into a showroom and see a car. It gleams under the lights, perfect in its contours, a feat of engineering designed to satisfy a purpose. A car is a tool, a machine designed to serve, to be used, to be owned. But a woman, a human being, is none of these things. We err gravely when we adopt metaphors that reduce human relationships to ownership, utility, or transaction. And yet, throughout history and into the present day, such comparisons have seeped into cultural consciousness. Why? Because they are easy. They simplify what is inherently complex, what is human. Human beings, women and men alike, are not simple objects to be controlled or mastered. Each of us is a unique interplay of biology, spirit, and consciousness. When we treat a person as though they are nothing more than a possession, we strip away that complexity. We discard the richness of their potential, their individuality, and their capacity for growth. Human relationships lie at the very heart of existence, shaping not only our personal experiences but also the societies we build. They are the foundation upon which our cultures, communities, and individual identities rest. To understand the fundamental nature of human relationships, we must explore their intrinsic complexity, the forces that bind people together, and the responsibilities they entail. These relationships are not merely transactional or incidental, they are central to the human experience, filled with challenges and profound rewards. At its core, a human relationship is not just a connection, but a dynamic interplay of thoughts, emotions, and shared experiences. Unlike interactions between objects or between a person and a tool, human relationships involve individuals with agency, desires, and vulnerabilities. Each person brings a unique set of values, histories, and ambitions to the table, creating an intricate web of interaction. This complexity is not a flaw, it is what makes relationships meaningful. The struggle to understand, connect, and grow alongside another person is a challenge that has fueled human creativity, philosophy, and even our sense of morality for centuries. A key aspect of relationships is their reciprocal nature. True relationships, those that hold meaning and depth, are built on a foundation of mutual respect and trust. They are not one-sided endeavors. In a healthy relationship, each individual recognizes the inherent dignity and worth of the other. They do not see the other as a means to an end, but as an autonomous being with their own aspirations, feelings, and struggles. This reciprocity demands vulnerability, honesty, and effort from both parties. It also requires acknowledgement that each person's individuality contributes to the relationship, enriching it rather than diminishing it. This mutual recognition is, unfortunately, not always easy to achieve. Human beings are naturally flawed creatures, prone to selfishness, insecurity, and misunderstanding. The desire to simplify relationships, to impose control, or to reduce others to objects or roles we find convenient often takes hold. For instance, when one person views another solely as a source of validation, financial support, or physical pleasure, the relationship loses its balance. The rich interplay of two equal beings is replaced by a utilitarian dynamic, one that is ultimately unsatisfying and even destructive. The antidote to this reductionist approach lies in acknowledging and embracing the inherent complexity of the human condition. People are not static, they change, grow, and evolve over time. Successful relationships accommodate this change rather than resist it. They require adaptability and a willingness to confront uncertainty. This is why relationships are often described as work. They demand continual attention and nurturing, not because they are inherently burdensome, but because they are alive, dynamic, and always in flux. Another defining feature of human relationships is their deep interdependence. No one exists in a vacuum, entirely separate from others. From the moment of birth, we are enmeshed in a web of connections that shape our development. Families, friendships, romantic partnerships, and even professional relationships contribute to our sense of identity and purpose. This interdependence does not mean we lose ourselves in others. Rather, it highlights the ways in which our lives are enriched through connection. In this sense, relationships are not about possession or dominance, but about collaboration and mutual growth. However, interdependence also brings challenges. It requires navigating the delicate balance between autonomy and connection. Each individual in a relationship must retain their sense of self while also being willing to compromise, adapt, and support the other. This balancing act is not always intuitive. It can lead to tension as people struggle to assert their needs without diminishing the needs of their partner. Yet it is precisely in this tension that some of the greatest opportunities for growth and learning arise. The effort to strike this balance fosters patience, empathy, and resilience. Human relationships are also deeply influenced by the context in which they occur. Cultural norms, societal expectations, and historical narratives shape how people perceive and engage with one another. In some cultures, relationships are viewed through the lens of duty and obligation, with strong emphasis on family roles and communal harmony. In others, individual choice and romantic ideals take precedence. These differing perspectives can lead to misunderstandings and conflict, especially in an increasingly interconnected world where people from diverse backgrounds interact more than ever before. Understanding the cultural frameworks that shape relationships is therefore essential for fostering empathy and bridging divides. Perhaps one of the most profound aspects of human relationships is their ability to provide meaning. In a world filled with uncertainty and impermanence, relationships offer a sense of stability and purpose. They remind us that we are part of something larger than ourselves, whether it is the bond between parent and child, the camaraderie of close friends, or the intimacy of a romantic partnership. These connections anchor us in the face of life's challenges. They provide a space for us to express our truest selves, to be seen and understood in ways that transcend superficial interactions. Yet the search for meaning in relationships is not without its pitfalls. When people place unrealistic expectations on their relationships, expecting them to solve all problems or provide constant happiness, disappointment often follows. The idea that another person can complete us is both alluring and dangerous. It overlooks the reality that relationships are partnerships, not solutions. They require effort, humility, and a willingness to accept imperfection. The beauty of a relationship lies not in its ability to erase our struggles, but in its power to help us face them with greater strength and hope. Lastly, human relationships are inherently transformative. They change us, often in ways we cannot predict or control. Through relationships, we learn about ourselves, our strengths, weaknesses, fears, and desires. They challenge us to grow, to confront parts of ourselves we might otherwise avoid. This transformative power is perhaps the greatest testament to the importance of relationships in human life. They are not merely pleasant or useful, they are essential to our development as individuals and as a species. The fundamental nature of human relationships, then, is far more profound than mere connection or interaction. It is an intricate dance of mutual recognition, interdependence, and growth. Reductionist thinking is a cognitive shortcut that simplifies complex phenomena by breaking them down into their basic components, often stripping away context, nuance, and interconnectedness. While this approach can be useful in certain scientific or analytical contexts, it becomes dangerous when applied to human beings, relationships, or societies. Reductionism, when misapplied, leads to a distorted understanding of the world and undermines our ability to engage meaningfully with others. To explore the danger of reductionist thinking, we must examine its manifestations, its impact on relationships, and its broader consequences on culture and society. At its core, reductionist thinking is appealing because it offers clarity and certainty. It reduces the overwhelming complexity of life into manageable, digestible pieces. This can be useful in technical domains such as physics or engineering, where understanding isolated systems often leads to practical innovations. However, human beings and their relationships do not exist in isolation. They are part of dynamic, interconnected systems influenced by countless variables: biology, psychology, culture, personal history, and more. To reduce such complexity to a single dimension is to misunderstand it entirely. One common manifestation of reductionist thinking is the tendency to label individuals based on a single characteristic or role. People are often reduced to their job titles, physical appearances, or social identities. For instance, someone might be labeled as the accountant, the blonde, or the activist, as if these labels capture the entirety of who they are. While labels can provide convenient shorthand, they are woefully inadequate at conveying the depth and richness of a person's experiences, motivations, and potential. This kind of reductionism flattens individuality, rendering people as caricatures rather than fully realized human beings. In relationships, reductionist thinking often takes the form of objectification. Objectification occurs when one person views another not as an autonomous individual with their own thoughts and feelings, but as a means to an end. This is most commonly discussed in the context of gender, where women, for example, are sometimes reduced to their physical attributes or roles within the family. However, objectification can occur in many forms, such as seeing a friend solely as a source of emotional support or viewing a colleague only in terms of their utility to a project. Such perspectives fail to honor the full humanity of the other person and limit the potential for meaningful connection. The dangers of reductionist thinking in relationships extend beyond the immediate harm to individuals. When relationships are based on narrow or simplistic understandings, they become brittle and transactional. They lack the depth required to withstand the inevitable challenges and changes that life brings. A partner viewed only as a source of financial stability, for instance, may feel devalued when their emotional needs are ignored. Similarly, a child seen solely as a vehicle for parental pride may struggle with feelings of inadequacy and resentment. Reductionist thinking erodes the mutual respect and empathy that are essential for healthy, enduring relationships. On a broader societal level, reductionist thinking fuels stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination. When people are categorized based on race, gender, religion, or other single attributes, they are often judged according to generalized assumptions rather than their individual merits. These stereotypes are not only inaccurate but also deeply harmful. They perpetuate systemic inequalities, limit opportunities, and create divisions within communities. Reductionism in this context fosters an us versus them mentality, where complex human beings are stripped of their individuality and reduced to the roles they are assigned by societal bias. One particularly insidious form of societal reductionism is the commodification of human beings. In consumer-driven cultures, individuals are often valued primarily for their ability to produce or consume. Workers may be reduced to their productivity metrics, while consumers are seen as little more than market demographics. This mindset not only dehumanizes people, but also encourages a culture of disposability. When individuals are valued solely for their utility, their worth becomes conditional and temporary, contingent on their ability to meet external demands. Such a perspective erodes the sense of intrinsic human dignity that should underpin all societal interactions. Reductionist thinking also affects how we understand ourselves. People often internalize reductionist narratives, defining their worth by a single aspect of their identity or achievements. A person might believe they are valuable only because of their career success, physical attractiveness, or social status. This self-reduction leads to a fragile sense of self-worth, one that is easily shattered when external circumstances change. Moreover, it blinds individuals to the richness and complexity of their own humanity. They may neglect their emotional, spiritual, or intellectual growth in favor of pursuing a narrowly defined goal or ideal. In the realm of public discourse, reductionism manifests as polarization and oversimplification of complex issues. Political debates, for example, often frame problems in binary terms: left versus right, good versus evil, progress versus tradition. These reductive frameworks obscure the nuanced realities of governance and social change. They discourage critical thinking and constructive dialogue, replacing them with slogans and sound bites. As a result, public discourse becomes combative rather than collaborative, and the potential for finding common ground diminishes. One of the greatest dangers of reductionist thinking is that it fosters a false sense of certainty. By simplifying complex phenomena, it gives the illusion of understanding while ignoring the deeper truths that lie beneath the surface. This false certainty can lead to poor decision-making, both on an individual and societal level. For example, policies based on reductive views of human behavior, such as the idea that poverty is solely the result of personal laziness, fail to address the systemic factors that contribute to the problem. Similarly, individuals who rely on reductionist assumptions in their relationships may find themselves blindsided by the complexities they failed to consider. The antidote to reductionist thinking is not to abandon analysis or simplification entirely, but to approach complexity with humility and openness. Recognizing that human beings and their relationships are multifaceted does not mean we must always grasp every detail. Instead, it means resisting the temptation to oversimplify and remaining curious about the deeper layers of reality. This approach fosters empathy, critical thinking, and a willingness to engage with the world as it truly is: complex, interconnected, and richly textured. Cultural narratives are the stories, values, and beliefs that societies create to make sense of the world and their place within it. These narratives are not just abstract ideas, they are powerful forces that shape individual identities, social structures, and collective behavior. From ancient myths to modern media, cultural narratives provide frameworks for understanding morality, purpose, and relationships. However, These narratives are not neutral. They can empower and inspire, but they can also perpetuate stereotypes, inequalities, and harmful patterns of thought. To fully understand their impacts, we must examine how cultural narratives are constructed, internalized, and transmitted, as well as the profound influence they exert on individuals and societies. At their core, cultural narratives are a way of organizing complex realities into comprehensible stories. Human beings are naturally drawn to storytelling because it helps them find meaning in chaos. Stories provide context and coherence, linking disparate events into a unified whole. In doing so, they shape perceptions of reality. For instance, a cultural narrative that portrays hard work as the key to success frames individuals' experiences of failure and achievement within this context. Whether someone succeeds or struggles, their understanding of their circumstances is influenced by this broader narrative. Cultural narratives are transmitted through various channels, including families, education, religion, and the media. Each of these institutions plays a role in embedding specific stories into the collective consciousness. For example, traditional fairy tales often carry implicit messages about gender roles, morality, and social expectations. Characters in these tales are frequently portrayed in ways that reinforce societal norms: the brave, self-reliant hero, the passive, beautiful princess, the wise, benevolent king. While these archetypes can be comforting or inspiring, they also limit the possibilities for how individuals view themselves and their roles in the world. One of the most significant impacts of cultural narratives is their ability to shape identity. From the moment a person is born, they are immersed in stories that inform their sense of self. A child raised in a society that values individualism may learn to see themselves as independent and self-reliant, while a child in a collectivist culture may view their identity as deeply tied to family and community. These narratives influence not only how people see themselves, but also how they interact with others and the choices they make throughout their lives. However, cultural narratives are not always empowering. Many carry implicit biases and stereotypes that perpetuate inequality and division. For instance, narratives about gender often dictate what is considered acceptable behavior for men and women. Men may be encouraged to embrace strength and stoicism, while women are often socialized to prioritize nurturing and beauty. These expectations can be stifling, preventing individuals from expressing their full range of emotions or pursuing certain opportunities. Similarly, narratives about race, ethnicity, or class can reinforce harmful stereotypes, limiting the potential of marginalized groups and perpetuating systemic injustices. Cultural narratives also have a profound impact on relationships. The stories people inherit about love, family, and friendship shape their expectations and behaviors in these areas. For example, the pervasive narrative of romantic love as the ultimate source of happiness can create unrealistic expectations for relationships. People may enter partnerships believing they should feel constant passion and fulfillment, only to feel disillusioned when the realities of daily life set in. Likewise, cultural narratives about family dynamics, such as the idea that parents should always sacrifice for their children, can place undue pressure on individuals and strain relationships. On a societal level, cultural narratives play a key role in defining norms and values. They establish what is considered right or wrong, desirable or undesirable. For instance, the narrative of meritocracy, the idea that success is based solely on talent and effort, shapes policies and attitudes toward education, work, and social mobility. While this narrative can inspire hard work and ambition, it can also obscure structural inequalities, leading people to blame themselves or others for failures that result from systemic barriers. Another powerful example is the narrative of progress, which suggests that societies are constantly moving toward a better, more advanced state. This story has driven scientific and technological innovation, fostering optimism and creativity. However, it can also create blind spots, leading people to overlook the negative consequences of rapid change, such as environmental degradation or social disconnection. By framing progress as inherently good, this narrative can make it difficult to question whether certain advancements align with deeper values or long-term well-being. Cultural narratives are not static. They evolve over time, reflecting changes in societal values and priorities. For instance, the narratives around gender and sexuality have undergone significant shifts in many parts of the world. Where traditional narratives once framed heterosexuality and binary gender roles as the norm, new stories have emerged that celebrate diversity and inclusion. These shifts demonstrate the power of cultural narratives to adapt and challenge outdated norms. However, such changes are often met with resistance, as deeply ingrained narratives can feel foundational to a person's identity or worldview. Media and technology play a central role in shaping and disseminating modern cultural narratives. Television, film, social media, and advertising all contribute to the stories that dominate public consciousness. The speed and reach of these platforms allow narratives to spread rapidly, but they also amplify their impact, for better or worse. Positive stories of resilience, innovation, and solidarity can inspire global movements, while negative or divisive narratives can fuel fear, prejudice, and conflict. The algorithms that govern online platforms further complicate this dynamic by prioritizing stories that evoke strong emotional reactions, often at the expense of nuance and complexity. Despite their pervasive influence, cultural narratives are not immutable. Individuals and groups have the power to challenge and reshape these stories. Activists, artists, educators, and everyday people contribute to the creation of new narratives by questioning old assumptions and offering alternative perspectives. For example, movements for racial justice and gender equality have worked to dismantle harmful stereotypes and replace them with stories that celebrate diversity and shared humanity. These efforts highlight the potential for cultural narratives to evolve in ways that promote equity and understanding. The balance between rights and responsibilities lies at the core of every functioning society. Rights represent the freedoms and entitlements that individuals hold, allowing them to live with dignity, autonomy, and equality. Responsibilities, on the other hand, are the obligations individuals have to uphold these freedoms, not only for themselves but also for others. Together, they form a delicate equilibrium, ensuring that society remains just, cohesive, and sustainable. However, this balance is not static. It requires constant attention and adjustment as societies evolve, and the failure to maintain it can lead to significant social, political, and ethical challenges. At its essence, the relationship between rights and responsibilities is reciprocal. Rights are not self-sustaining. They rely on individuals and institutions to respect, protect, and fulfill them. For example, the right to free speech depends on a collective commitment to tolerate diverse opinions, even when they are disagreeable. Similarly, the right to education necessitates the responsibility of governments to provide accessible schooling and the obligation of parents or guardians to ensure that children attend. This interplay highlights that rights and responsibilities are interdependent. One cannot exist meaningfully without the other. The concept of rights often takes center stage in political discourse, with movements and individuals advocating for freedoms and entitlements that have been denied or restricted. These struggles are crucial as they address systemic injustices and seek to expand the scope of human dignity. However, an overemphasis on rights without an accompanying focus on responsibilities can create imbalances. When individuals prioritize their personal freedoms without considering the broader social implications, it can lead to conflict, inequality, and societal fragmentation. For instance, asserting the right to property without acknowledging the responsibility to pay taxes undermines the social systems that protect property rights in the first place. Responsibilities, in contrast, are often less celebrated, yet they are equally essential for maintaining societal harmony. Responsibilities are what ensure that individual rights do not infringe upon the rights of others. For example, while one person may have the right to express their views, they also bear the responsibility to avoid inciting harm or violence. In the same vein, the right to privacy must be balanced with the responsibility to respect others' boundaries and personal information. Responsibilities act as guardrails, preventing rights from being exercised in ways that undermine the collective good. The balance between rights and responsibilities is particularly evident in democratic societies. Democracies are built on the principle that individuals have a voice in shaping the laws and policies that govern them. This right to participate in governance comes with the responsibility to engage thoughtfully and ethically. Citizens are expected to inform themselves about issues, vote conscientiously, and respect the outcomes of democratic processes, even when they are not in their favor. When this balance breaks down, such as when individuals disengage from civic duties or spread misinformation, it weakens the very foundation of democracy. The tension between rights and responsibilities becomes especially pronounced in times of crisis. Take, for instance, the COVID-19 pandemic. During this global health emergency, governments and individuals grappled with how to balance the right to personal freedom with the responsibility to protect public health. Mask mandates, lockdowns, and vaccination campaigns sparked intense debates about the limits of individual rights in the face of collective responsibilities. These discussions revealed the inherent complexity of achieving balance as different stakeholders weighed short-term sacrifices against long-term benefits. While some argued that restrictions infringed upon personal liberties, others emphasized that fulfilling one's responsibility to the community was essential for safeguarding everyone's rights to life and health. This dynamic is also evident in environmental issues. The right to a clean and sustainable environment is increasingly recognized as fundamental, Yet achieving it requires individuals, corporations, and governments to embrace significant responsibilities. Reducing carbon emissions, conserving natural resources, and transitioning to renewable energy sources all involve sacrifices and changes in behavior. When entities shirk these responsibilities, choosing instead to prioritize short-term profits or convenience, the consequences ripple across the planet, affecting future generations' rights to a livable world. Environmental challenges highlight that rights and responsibilities extend beyond the individual or immediate community. They are global in scope and long-term in impact. The balance of rights and responsibilities also shapes interpersonal relationships in smaller communities. Within families, for example, the right of a child to be cared for is matched by the responsibility of parents to provide for their physical, emotional, and educational needs. Similarly, the right of parents to be respected by their children is linked to their responsibility to model respect and provide guidance. These mutual obligations create the foundation for trust, cooperation, and growth within the family unit. When one side neglects their responsibilities, the imbalance can lead to conflict and dysfunction. In workplaces, too, the interplay between rights and responsibilities is vital. Employees have the right to fair wages, safe working conditions, and opportunities for advancement. Employers, in turn, have a responsibility to uphold these rights while ensuring the sustainability of their businesses. Conversely, employees bear the responsibility to perform their duties diligently and respect workplace policies. Striking a balance between these rights and responsibilities fosters a positive work environment, enhances productivity, and promotes mutual respect. When either side neglects their role, whether through exploitative practices or lack of accountability, the entire system suffers. Education provides another powerful example of this balance. Students have the right to quality education, but this right is contingent on their responsibility to engage with the material, respect their peers, and adhere to academic standards. Educators, meanwhile, have the responsibility to provide effective instruction and create a supportive learning environment. The interplay between these rights and responsibilities ensures that the educational process is both equitable and effective. When either party fails to fulfill their responsibilities, it compromises the rights of others, undermining the integrity of the educational system. Cultural and societal values play a significant role in shaping how rights and responsibilities are understood and enacted. In individualistic societies, the emphasis often leans toward personal rights, sometimes at the expense of collective responsibilities. Conversely, in collectivist cultures, the focus on communal responsibilities can sometimes overshadow individual freedoms. Neither extreme is sustainable. The health of any society depends on finding a balance that respects both individual autonomy and the common good. Striking this balance requires ongoing dialogue, empathy, and a willingness to adapt to changing circumstances. Finally, it is crucial to recognize that the balance between rights and responsibilities is not a zero-sum game. Embracing responsibilities does not diminish individual rights. Rather, it strengthens them by creating a stable, equitable environment in which rights can flourish. The pursuit of meaning is a fundamental aspect of the human experience. It is the search for purpose, connection, and a sense of belonging in the world. Among the many ways to achieve this, respect stands as a cornerstone, serving as both a guiding principle and a practical approach to fostering meaningful relationships, personal growth, and social harmony. Respect is not merely a passive attitude or polite behavior. It is an active engagement with others and oneself that acknowledges worth, dignity, and the complexity of life. Pursuing meaning through respect requires an understanding of its multifaceted nature, its application across various dimensions of life, and the transformative impact it can have on individuals and communities. At its core, respect begins with recognition. To respect someone is to recognize their inherent worth and unique perspective, regardless of differences in beliefs, values, or circumstances. This recognition is foundational to meaningful interactions because it allows people to engage with one another on equal footing. In a world marked by diversity, respect becomes the bridge that connects individuals across cultural, social, and ideological divides. It affirms the idea that every person has something valuable to contribute and that their experiences are valid, even if they differ from our own. The pursuit of respect extends beyond others and encompasses self-respect. Self-respect is the acknowledgement of one's own worth and the commitment to treat oneself with dignity, It involves setting healthy boundaries, valuing one's achievements, and maintaining integrity in the face of challenges. Without self-respect, it becomes difficult to extend genuine respect to others as the foundation of one's interactions is weakened. Pursuing meaning through self-respect allows individuals to develop confidence, resilience, and a clearer sense of purpose, which in turn enhances their capacity to build meaningful connections. In relationships, respect is a key ingredient for trust, understanding, and mutual growth. Whether in friendships, partnerships, or familial bonds, respect involves listening actively, valuing each other's perspectives, and honoring each other's perspectives in honoring each other's boundaries. It is not about agreement or conformity, but about creating a space where differences can coexist and be appreciated. For example, in a healthy partnership, respect manifests as the ability to navigate disagreements without resorting to demeaning behavior. It fosters a sense of safety and belonging that allows individuals to express themselves authentically and work collaboratively toward shared goals. Respect also plays a vital role in societal contexts where it serves as the foundation for justice, equality, and cooperation. In diverse communities, respect enables people to navigate conflicts and build bridges across divides. It involves not only tolerating differences but actively valuing them as sources of strength and innovation. For instance, workplaces that cultivate a culture of respect are more likely to foster creativity and collaboration, as employees feel valued and empowered to contribute their unique perspectives. Similarly, governments and institutions that prioritize respect in their policies and practices create environments where citizens feel seen, heard, and included. One of the most profound aspects of respect is its ability to humanize. In a world where people are often reduced to stereotypes, labels, or roles, respect restores individuality and dignity. It counters the dehumanizing tendencies of prejudice, discrimination, and systemic inequality by affirming the worth of every person. For example, respecting someone who holds different political beliefs involves acknowledging their humanity and the experiences that have shaped their views, even if one disagrees with their conclusions. This approach fosters dialogue and understanding rather than division and hostility. Respect is also deeply tied to empathy. Empathy involves understanding and sharing the feelings of another, and respect creates the conditions for empathy to flourish. When we respect someone, we open ourselves to their experiences and perspectives, which in turn allows us to connect with them on a deeper level. This connection is a source of meaning, as it reinforces the idea that we are part of a shared human experience. Empathy and respect together create a virtuous cycle, where understanding leads to greater respect, which in turn deepens understanding. In the pursuit of meaning, respect also challenges individuals to confront their biases and assumptions. Respecting others requires humility, the willingness to admit that our perspectives are limited and that we can learn from others. This humility fosters personal growth and broadens our understanding of the world. For example, traveling to a different culture and engaging with its traditions can be a transformative experience when approached with respect. By appreciating the values and practices of another community, we gain new insights into our own beliefs and expand our capacity for connection. Respect is not without its challenges. It often requires patience, effort, and courage, especially in situations where it is not reciprocated. Respecting someone who behaves disrespectfully or who holds views that seem fundamentally wrong can be difficult, but it is precisely in these moments that respect is most meaningful. Choosing respect in such circumstances is not an endorsement of harmful behavior or ideas. Rather, it is a commitment to upholding one's own values and creating the possibility for constructive engagement. In educational contexts, respect is a cornerstone of meaningful learning. Students thrive in environments where their voices are heard, their efforts are valued, and their individuality is respected. Teachers who model respect in their interactions with students create classrooms that are not only academically productive but also emotionally supportive. Respect in education goes beyond student-teacher relationships. It extends to the curriculum itself, which should respect the diverse histories, cultures, and experiences of learners. By fostering respect in education, societies invest in future generations that are more empathetic, inclusive, and capable of meaningful contributions. Respect also intersects with environmental stewardship as it extends beyond human relationships to encompass the natural world. Respecting the environment involves recognizing the interconnectedness of all life and the responsibility to protect the ecosystems that sustain us. This form of respect adds depth to the pursuit of meaning by connecting individuals to something larger than themselves. It reminds us that our actions have consequences not only for our immediate communities, but for future generations and the planet as a whole. The pursuit of meaning through respect is a dynamic process, one that requires continuous effort and reflection. It is not a destination, but a way of being, a commitment to engaging with the world in a way that honors the dignity of all people, the complexity of life, and the interconnectedness of humanity and nature. By cultivating respect in our personal lives, relationships, and societal structures, we create a foundation for deeper understanding, greater fulfillment, and lasting harmony. In the intricate tapestry of human existence, the pursuit of meaning emerges as one of the most profound and defining aspects of our lives. Through the lenses of respect, responsibility, relationships, and the narratives we create, we come to understand ourselves and our place within a complex and interconnected world. Each principle, whether it is balancing rights and responsibilities, challenging reductionist thinking, or navigating cultural narratives, underscores the deep need for engagement, empathy, and a commitment to something greater than ourselves. Meaning is not something passively discovered. It is actively forged through the choices we make, the values we uphold, and the ways we interact with others and the world around us. It is through these conscious efforts that we transcend the superficial and embrace a life imbued with purpose, connection, and integrity. When we pursue meaning with respect for ourselves, others, and the systems we inhabit, we contribute to a society that not only thrives but inspires. Let this pursuit remind us of our shared humanity, our collective responsibility, and the enduring potential for growth, understanding, and fulfillment.